Okay, so I wanted to see if I could do a quick video, maybe help some people out with some of the things I ran into doing the 3-inch body lift on this truck. This is my 2001. It's got a 5-inch zone suspension and a 3-inch performance accessories body lift. And there's a couple videos on YouTube pretty in-depth with putting these kits on, but I ran into some stuff on mine that weren't really mentioned, and not all the details are out there, and you run into this stuff. So first thing, let me grab the instruction sheet out of here. Squeaky door. It's not a good old truck unless it's got a squeaky door. When you get your kit, it comes with the instructions, at least. I don't know about the eBay kits, but pretty good cover and everything. But the first thing you want to do, go to the very end of it. They have the kit parts list. Make sure you go through whichever kit you have. This is my part number PA673 for my 2001. Make sure you have everything in this kit, because I was missing, see this auto trans pivot bracket, auto trans pivot bracelet, which is this one right here. It was back ordered from Performance Accessories. I actually had guy Adam McClure on one of the second gen Facebook pages was actually able to send me that bracket quicker. it took almost a month and a half of back and forth with Performance Accessories to get them to send one straight from the manufacturer, and then he had one to me. Adam sent me one out in just a couple days. So make sure everything is in your kit. I did note I had a couple of these. The listing said the kit was supposed to be zinc plated. They told me they've gone to just straight galvanized, so there's a little bit of rust. You might have to paint your brackets, but anyway, that's number one. Make sure you have all your parts. Number two, the kit was pretty well straightforward. Sorry, I'm shooting everything on my phone, so I'm not a camera guy. The kit was pretty well straightforward on what you have to put on. Just like the other couple of videos on YouTube, there is some stuff you can skip. Let me see if I can get in here and get a shot of it. I don't know where it's at, the filler neck, blah blah blah. Sorry, I am not a camera guy. The filler neck, I didn't splice in the extra tube, and it's got plenty of slack. Same thing with the vent hose. I didn't worry about it. I do have the bed blocks welded in. I did that later. I left them out until I was ready to get the welder and just tack them in place. One thing I do want to note is when you get your kit, you have all your body blocks, and then you have two, actually I think it says on that list, sorry, I'm all over the board with this. Truck's a mess. They mentioned that, see, you have 14 3x3, so 3-inch circumference, 3-inch, 3-inch diameter and 3-inch height. And then 2 of them are 2x3s, so 2-inch diameter blocks. And they don't tell you in the instructions where those skinnier ones go, and none of the videos mentioned it. So I had to figure out for myself. Where those two blocks go is in the rear. If you're doing the bumper bracket lift, you have to buy it separate, which I recommend you do, unless you like drill and frame steel. It's so much quicker and easier. Just buy these. I think it was 75 bucks for the pair of brackets, and they just bolt onto your rear bumper. I don't know why they're not included with a kit, but you have to buy the rear bumper brackets separate. But those two skinnier blocks will actually go in the very rear back here, at the back of the bed. And the reason being is because if you're using these brackets, if you're using the bigger blocks in this rearmost point, if you use those bigger blocks, the lift brackets will actually hit, and you'll have your bumper sitting funky. So mine sits pretty straight now. This side's always kind of been a little bent lower, but it's pretty close to where it should be, other than, you know, this side being bent down. But yeah, if you have the big fat blocks in here, you can't get it adjusted up to where it should be. So that's where those two skinnier blocks go. Not much else I really ran into. Playing with the front, I did get the front bumper brackets on. That got adjusted up pretty good. You can see it kind of, you know, other than the loose plastic, it's pretty much where it should be there. Let me pop the hood here because there was a couple spots under the hood. For you other guys with those eBay intakes like I got, I still haven't figured out. I think I'll just take the box out, but when you go to raise the cab, you're gonna have to take your intake tube loose, because obviously this is mounted to the body and it's gonna come up, so you'll have to figure out something with that. I think I'm just gonna take the box out and just lay it there and screw it. Another thing, should be common sense, but I wasn't even thinking about it, wasn't mentioned, is like these two wire harnesses back here. You have to play with them to get some slack. You can see this one's still almost a little tight. I need to do something with that, either drop the clips or do something. They do give you some little extension hoses here and there for the overflow. They have the fan shroud drop down brackets. The one on the bottom, I think the other guy, Iron Pumper or whatever, made a mention that it lays on top of the petcock, which is really goofy, but there's really no other way to get that thing on there. This side, I only have 3 actually holding it in. You're supposed to have the one down there, but I couldn't seem to get a drill in there the right way, so I just kind of figured I'll come back to it later whenever I get the chance. Other than the rear brackets and a lot of tweaking on the front, I didn't run into much. You know, everything was pretty straightforward as far as all the instructions go. I think I didn't have a spare tire, or yeah, I'm running 38, so I don't have a spare tire anyway. I just skipped over that. I pretty much just pulled the rod out. I just kind of tried to go. Some of this stuff I skipped. Parking brake on mine was not an issue. They tell you to loosen that. everything else, I mean, just go through the instructions and see, you know, kind of take a look at your truck, because see, they have different instructions. You know, 94, 97 is a little different on some of the levers and things like that. The only thing I'll mention is they say this pivot bracket, again, what I was missing. They say this is 2002 models. Mine's a 2001, and supposedly, you know, from what I see, this is on all the other trucks. I don't know why they say 2002. When I first called and tried to get them to send me one, they told me this bracket doesn't even exist on a 2001. You don't need it. All you need is the extension piece they give you to weld into the linkage rod. But you do need this. I mean, take a look under your truck. If you have this pivot bracket coming off the trans linkage, you're going to need it. Point blank period. So yeah, just take a look and see, you know, when you get your instructions, see what, get under your truck, see what you're gonna need and what you're gonna not. I would say just skip the filler neck. You will need a little bit of a welder. You could skip the bed blocks, the supports, you know, if you want to get by. I wouldn't put no big heavy weight in there with they give you 2 bed blocks to weld in the middle. But yeah, just look through. I mean, some of the stuff can be not necessarily skipped, but just, you know, do without it. Now, one thing I do want to mention is I have the side steps on mine, and a lot of these guys, they do the body lift, and what you end up seeing is this big old goofy looking 3-inch gap, because the side steps mount to the cab. And if you notice, mine are pretty close. They're not as tight as, you know, these steps normally sit, but they're pretty darn close, and they don't look too goofy. And I'll show you what I did to get that. These are, you know, a lot of these steps, these are Westons, but, you know, all the eBay and Amazon steps kind of mount the same way to these cab mounts. What I did, sorry, it's all covered in lime rock. On the front bracket, I actually turned it on its side. So this step is actually, this would have been the top of the bracket originally, and that was where the step would mount. I actually flipped it over, and that still gives you a little bit of adjustment, but it brings it up higher by about 1.5 inches of where it was before. I think I took what I did is I took the bottom cup off. See, that one's got the big flat washer on it. I took that off, and I'm basically using this plate to act as that bottom washer. And same thing on this back side. This one I didn't flip, but I removed that bottom cup, and again, it's just the plate itself is squishing the body mount on the bottom. And this isn't maybe 100%, you know, the best way. I mean, it's not sitting totally flat, but you know, the top mount is really what's keeping you from squeaking and flexing, and the bottom's just there to, you know, and maybe a little bit of noise, but it's holding it up tight up against there, so I haven't got any noise out of it. And then I just adjusted this up to see as high as it could go. So you really only have, I mean, with these steps, it's actually kind of a nice height. I was able to barely get these support straps back in there, and I think when I measured it, I had about 1.75 inch gap, something to that effect. But they sit, you know, I mean, they sit pretty good. They're not, it's not like they're sticking out. I did want to just give you some shots. You know, I remember looking and trying to see, you know, how much body gap is there, how much frame is showing, you know, things like that you couldn't really find online. And it seems like you don't really see a lot of frame. You know, I mean, it's almost maybe like the Chevy pickups. seem to show a little bit of frame, but with the steps on there, you don't really see much of anything. I have all the wheel well liners, so really, I mean, you don't see anything. You know, nothing that looks weird. You know, some of the guys, I know you don't have the wheel well liners, but you can buy the gap guards. I don't think there's any reason to. One thing it doesn't look terrible, but it sticks out, is the tow hitch sitting down. You know, once you bring the bumper up, you have a 3-inch gap there between the tow hitch, which does look a little silly from certain angles, but it's not too bad. A little bit, I mean, you see a little bit, of course. Doesn't seem like it's crazy too much, you know. But yeah, I have a 5-inch suspension and the 3-inch body, and these are 38 by 13.5 Milestars. So yeah, besides those few things, you know, otherwise when you're doing the body lift, is, you know, just pay attention. You know, try to keep an eye on all your linkages and your wiring, and just, you know, take it slow. I did this, you know, I actually did my kit here out in the driveway. You know, I just used a floor jack, and I don't even have wood. I just used a floor jack and a cinder block to get the cab jacked up. And the bed, I actually did the bed just laying underneath it. I got my feet under there and just deadlifted that thing up enough to slide the blocks in. So all hand tools. Took me a few days, just a couple hours after work every day. But yeah, I can definitely, I mean, it can be done in the driveway with hand tools. It's just, you know, take your time and make sure you're not, you know, gonna have something crush your fingers or something. Just, you know, be safe about it and try to pay attention to everything as you're jacking everything up. Other than that, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward kit, I would say. You know, I'll try to, if I get any questions or anything, I'll try to leave some information as best I can. I think I'm going to start doing some videos on some of this stuff that I want to share more information on, stuff I run into. So yeah, any questions, just give me a shout.